Greetings YouTube, Captain Machine here, back for another video, and today we're going to be talking about Savage Worlds Explorer Edition. There you go. First of all, notice the size. This is quite a small book, digest size if you want to call it that. This is a standard A4 book, which in this case is Codex Aux, and put the two next to each other, and you can see the size difference. So it's a nice, comfortable size to hold. It's quite a nice book in that regards, but that's a minor point. Let's talk about the game that's within these pages. Right, for those of you who don't know, Savage Worlds started life as Deadlands. And I have mentioned Deadlands before, because I did a Deadlands review for Deadlands Reloaded, which is below, and you'll see the link to that down there in the link section. And basically, Deadlands was a rather popular Wild West game, which, according to legend, the developers of which went to Gen Con one day, saw Werewolf the Wild West, which is one of the Werewolf the Apocalypse's historical setting, and you know what, they said, let's take the werewolves out and see if a fantasy based western could work, and the answer is yes, it can. Some people have difficulty writing westerns, but the honest truth is everyone likes cowboys to some degree or another, so it works. That game was exceptionally popular, survived 3 time periods, or 3 incarnations if you want to call it that. So it went through a D20 adaptation, which wasn't particularly fantastic to be honest with you, but then again, if you weren't doing a fantasy or a space opera game, a D20 product is not a good idea at all. It was a bandwagon a lot of people jumped on, and a lot of people fell off it as well. So we'll talk about that another day. But suffice to say, they also did a card game, which is irrelevant to this, but it's worth looking into. It's not a bad game, although good luck finding enough cards to play it. And also a tabletop war game called Rail Wars. Now, Rail Wars and Deadlands was morphed into what is now known as Savage Worlds, and I introduced to Savage Worlds purely by accident. I just turned up one day to a game and someone said, let's play this new game we've got, and it was Necessary Evil. And Necessary Evil ran off of the Savage Worlds game system, and we all had a good time playing it. It was a lot of fun, it was quick, or as the monicum goes, fast, furious fun, which it is. It's a lot of fun to play this game. How's it play? Well, basically, your initiative is quite simple. You determine who goes first by each taking a card from the deck, which is a deck of playing cards, just any old playing card deck will do. And the higher you are in the cards, is it Queen, King, Joker, 9, whatever, is how fast you go. Once everyone's had their go, you deal another deck of cards out. There's none of this multiple action crap that comes with some games. There's none of this tweaking your initiative priorities, although you can do that with edges towards the end of your career as an adventurer. You can say, this card's not good, can I have another one please? But yeah, once your initiative is worked out, any skills, actions, anything you want to do is determined by a skill dice or an attribute dice. Basically, your dice type or your dice size, shall we say, it determines your skill level. So a poor skill person would be a D4, going for a D6, D8, D10, and then finally D12. That's the highest one you can get. So basically, you've always got a target number of 4, unless you've got some particular roll which is important to make. So it's quite easy to make most of these rolls, and you've also got a control dice or wild dice, which is your D6, which you roll with that, and you take whichever result is higher. In these dice, they open ends, so if you get the top result that dice can give you, say for example you get a 12 and a D12, you just keep rolling, keep adding the numbers together until eventually you stop hitting that maximum number, which is how criticals are achieved in this, because you roll damage as normal, but damage open ends, so usually you do a reasonable amount of damage, you hurt someone, maybe bruise them up a bit, and then occasionally you'll get a ridiculously high roll for your damage and just murder someone horribly. And that's pretty much how the game runs. It's a very quick, simple system. Is it any good? Well, clearly I've been singing the praises for it for quite some time, although I've never played it by itself. It does encourage you, the book does encourage you to make up your own settings. In fact, nothing really is given with this apart from a one-off little piratey scenario at the back. And it is a little 2-page scenario. It's nothing spectacular interesting, it's just an example of what you can do with this. Everything that I've played or everything I've encountered with this has always been a setting. And now Pinnacle, which published this, I've produced a number of rather entertaining settings to go along with it, all of which have got some very unique twists to them. Several other companies, Triple Ace Games, also have made games for this, and there's also a couple of other companies out there, but I can't name them all because I don't know them all. And that is the strength of it. The strength of it is you can quickly and easily adapt this to pretty much anything. If you want to play a superheroes game, it can do that. If you want to play a western game, it can do that. If you want to play sci-fi, it'll do that. If you want to play fantasy, it'll do that. This does everything. Everything that comes out of it does have a pulpy, high action feel to it. If you want gritty, realistic, or you want super complicated, crunchy mechanics, then this is not the game for you. But if you want, as the monicum says, fast, fun, furious, if you want those three things in rapid succession, this is the game to go for. Or at least these are the rules to go for. Is this book worth it by itself? Well, to start with, it comes with a $9.99 price tag. That is amazing. So it's $10 basically. You would think that makes it really cheap in the UK. It doesn't. We pay about £7 or £8 for this. But even to our sensibilities, that is a fantastic price for a book. Because you'll tend to find that when games come over from US to England, the conversion from dollars to pounds is never exact. And in fact, you tend to find that they add a nice chunk of profit on top of that. This by itself is what I think is a 3-star game out of 5. It's a good, fun game. By itself, there's not a lot to buy really with it. I mean, they are starting to bring out compendiums for this, little mini compendiums at the same size. The first one being, to my knowledge, the Fantasy Compendium, which is actually a very good book, and I'll talk about that in the future if I have time. But by itself, it's rather weak and lackluster, but that's not the intention of it. The intention is not to be a standalone product. It can be used that way, but I don't believe that's the intention of the product. The intention is to give you a core set of rules, a core set of mechanics, and an idea, and from that you can either make your own setting or use one that's published. And that's my review. 3 stars out of 5. Savage Wars Explorer Edition. If you like what I said, buy it. If you disagree, comments below. But thank you for your time, guys. Goodbye.